Are you new to Blood Bowl or a returning player and wanting more information on how the Elven team works in the game? I'm Controlled Chaos, and in this video we're going to go over exactly that. First off, I want to let you know that the Elven team is a very agile team. They are all about moving the ball and dodging away from things. They are not about the block and bash and hit the enemy type of team. They can be built that way, but it's really hard. But let's go in and look at the team members themselves. We're first going to start off with the Blitzer. The Blitzer has a movement of 7, which is above average, a strength of 3, which is average, a agility of 2+, which is above average, a pass of 3+, which is average, and then an armor value of 9+, which is just above average. They start out with skills block and sidestep. Block is great for when you get the double down, they're not going to go down. Sidestep is great because when you're pushed, you get to choose where you go in that push. It allows you to control how you're being pushed, which is great for helping and controlling the field on a defensive way. Now, let's move in to the next one. The next one we're going to talk about is the catcher. The catcher is really good for several reasons. First off, let's talk stats. Stats of movement of 8. They can move really far. They have a strength of 3. So average strength. They have agility of 2+, so good agility. They have a pass of 4+, so not that good in passing. They have an armor value of 8+, which is average armor value. But they get 2 abilities to start out with. They get catch, so they're great at catching the ball because of the agility and catch. Then they have nerves of steel. When they are catching the ball or they are intercepting the ball, the marks against them, so if they have another enemy player next to them, does not negatively affect them doing these things. So that's really good. Next, we want to talk about the thrower. The thrower has a movement of 6, average, strength of 3, average, agility of 2+, which is above average, and then a pass of 2+, which is really good. That is a great pass ability that they have. Then they have an armor value of 8+, which is average. They start out with the pass skill, which means that if they fail a pass roll, they get to re-roll it. And so they make really good for throwing the ball. Then finally, you have the linemen. The linemen for the stats are 6 for movement, which is average, strength of 3, average, agility 2+, which is really good. Then they have a pass of 4+, so they're not the greatest at passing. Then they have a armor value of 8+, so average armor value. Now, I want to go in and talk about how you should slot the skills for leveling up each of these team members. Let's first start with the linemen. The linemen have no starting abilities whatsoever, no starting skills whatsoever, so they are a blank slate for you to build on. Do you want them to be more of a blocking, more dodgy? Do you want to make them sneaky and be able to foul a lot? Really your choice, and that's the directions I would go with this. There are a lot of great ones that I would recommend. If you're wanting to keep with the dodge formula because of their great agility, you definitely want to give them dodge. I definitely give them sidestep. Sidestep will help out so much, especially if you're heavily wanting to control the field and how you're being pushed around. Getting it and making it so that your guys all get pushed into the same area will make things stronger instead of them being all spread out. Another good one to get for them if you're wanting to go fouling is sneaky get. You can get that cheap. I also highly recommend in your generals getting block. Getting things like tackle, which stops the enemy from using dodge, is a good one. And maybe if you want to make one of them your kicker so you're better at kicking the ball, you can make one of them your kicker. And that would work out very well too. If you're wanting them to be a heavy attacker, you could even add in Frenzy, but you want to make sure that they have a bunch of backup around them constantly. So you may want to hold off on that. But let's talk about next the thrower. So for the thrower, giving skills, some of the skills you should definitely be looking at get them is safe pass. If they fumble the ball pass, they keep the ball in their hands. It doesn't go onto the ground. It's still a turnover, but it is safe to keep on the hands. Another one you have is drop off. Drop off is great because if you're attacked, you get to do a short pass to a friendly player, which is great. Now, if you're wanting to do long throws, you want to do things like Cloudburster, Cannoneer, Hail Mary, but they're not the best always used stuff. I would recommend giving them dodge, keeping with that if you're doing the whole entire thing of keeping up with aligning your guys and keeping them together. Sidestep is really good. And then in primary, I get things like block. And I'd also, for sure, on your thrower, make sure you get sure hands. That would actually be the first ability you would pick up. Because your thrower, you'll be thankful for getting sure hands. Now, another thing you want to look at next is the catcher. The catcher, you already have catch, which is good. I would add in things like, let's see. I would add in the dodge, the sure step. I would add in sure feet so that you can run, do a rush, and be more confident in that rush because you'll get the rerolls with the sure feet. If you're wanting to add in an extra one, sprint is worth it. So you can get those 1 to 2 turn touchdowns would be good. Leap is another great one. Also, if your guy gets knocked down, jump up is good because it makes it a lot better. You're not losing those 3 steps and getting up. Block would be good for them to get. And also sure hands in case they drop the ball, they can easily pick it back up. And so that's the direction I would go with them. Then, for your blitzers, what you want to do is I would first get dodge just so that they're really good and hard to knock down. Then I would focus here on this area. And the areas I'd give them tackle, I'd give them strip ball so they can knock the ball out of a player's hand, even if the block doesn't succeed. And frenzy is a possibility. That's a good possibility there. In your agilities, like I said, the only thing you really want to work on is your dodge. And that's how I'd work out all of those. Now, when we're talking formations here, okay, you got your blitzers right here. And then you have your thrower, which is right here. I'd take your thrower and place them about there. Always. Okay, unless you're kicking, then, depending on that. But with that being said, I would move, if you're doing offensive, there are several tactics you could use. And I'm lining everything up for it right now. So I'd put like your catchers here. You could do something like this. This would be nice. This would be good. You could also just move these guys back 1 so that way you have less on the field to be hit. And then you could also move this guy back 1 because these guys right here are just to help protect up your catchers. Another thing you could do if you got a catcher that's really good and built out and he's a sure thing for doing touchdowns and doing well for you, what I recommend you do is you actually move things over and you actually move things like this. And you go along that direction. I'd actually still keep him there. But I do this kind of build out and maybe even move him over more. And just place him here. And the reason I'm doing this setup is for the pure simple fact that when you're receiving the ball, the thrower can throw it to the catcher, they'll catch, and then all you have to do is just move these guys up, and then this guy can fill in this area here as you're moving up in the field so that you'll have that constant block. Now you'll see it says wide zone. This is because it's the original step. In the actual playing of the teams, you won't get this warning. You'll be fine. So that's a great way of doing things. And by moving things up, this guy can easily swap into that position. Or this guy could move over to being here, and then this guy can move into that position. It just makes it very, very easy and very nice. Yeah, you may have some lockdown issues here, but the great thing is you can pull the guys from over here to do that. And you can't do that, but this is how I would sort of set things up. And I'd have these guys back for this one so that it's not up against and locked down. You have these guys completely free to help out with all this. The next thing I recommend is if you're doing defensive. So you're kicking off the ball, they're receiving. So this is the lineup and setup I would do for defensive. Reason being, remember, you're not able to get hit that well. There's 3 here, you have to have 3 here. And that's the reason why you just have a lineman. I take your lineman that has a block and dodge on them possibly to be the lineman that's in the front row. Because he's not going to get taken down as well. And it'll take you at least a game or two to get there with your lineman. But that's how I would set this one up. The reason I'm doing this is there's no easy area where they can go in. Yeah, they could go in here and then jump here, but then the problem is they are really stuck up. So actually, to clear up that issue, I actually move these in one more. Now there is no safe space for the enemy to go in. They'll hit here, and then all of this is going to be green. All right here will be green. They're gonna have to do some dodging. And that's very, very important. And then you just have him so that he can choose whatever side he needs. And then you'd have him so that he could run up to whatever side they're running up against and cover up areas. You could even take him and move him back one and put him here. And do that kind of setup. Because they still have the good run distance to get up in there. But I wouldn't move them that far because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's 6. So I'd actually move him, I'd say here, and then have him right behind him. Or you could do him here, and then your thrower there. Because you're not throwing right away. But you want to keep your thrower available and your catchers available to be able to get the ball in case there is a turnover. Because then you can turn around and get that ball, especially with this. So if I was doing a defensive and I'd take one of the catchers and run them to the other end of the zone and keep him there. Even though you're down one man, it's going to make your opponent think, oh, I need to get rid of him. And you just keep him away from the enemy. And then that way, if there is a turnover, you can have your thrower grab the ball, throw the ball to the catcher that's over here, and then you get a quick touchdown. Because most of the other guys of the enemy are going to be dealing with all these guys. And so this catcher would have an easier time doing a touchdown, especially considering that all of the Elven players have an agility of 2+. And then if you throw the dodge on top of that, it's even stronger and better. And so that's really, really great. If you found this guide helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and have a great day.